So Ellusionist just announced the Shift self-bending spoon. I don't have the self-bending spoon, but I do have the self-bending fork from a number of years ago, and I thought I would weigh in with my experience of owning and using the self-bending fork, and probably what you can expect with the spoon. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Alan with the Magic Minute here, where we take tricks and turn them into real magic. If this is your first time on the channel, I'm a full-time professional magician, and I give my tips, tricks, tutorials, and other magic-related content like this video here. So if that sounds cool to you, you should hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. That way you don't miss out on a single video. So the self-bending whatever. There was the key, there was the fork, there was now the spoon. There's been a couple of these different self-bending utensils on the market. And, well, the paperclip. I can't forget the self-bending paperclip. Lots of different variations of this same theme, but the spoon is new. It came out, announced about 10 hours ago as the creating of this video, and it's half the price that the fork was. I paid about $200 for the fork when that came out, and now you can get the spoon for $99 on the Ellusionist website. I don't know if they've changed the material or the way that it behaves or any of that kind of stuff. There is some text on Ellusionist's website about advancements in the technology used in this type of effect, and that the improvements have made it possible to offer the spoon at a cheaper price. I don't know if that means just the manufacturing has gotten cheaper, or if they have reformulated the utensil or the metal that it's made out of to accomplish this. If it is the same material as the fork, there are a couple things you need to know. I ran into some issues using mine. They say that you don't have to worry about it, that it stays at a certain, or it stays unbent at room temperature. But, if you're put it in somebody's hand, then it'll bend, right? That was roughly my experience, but it was a little bit more finicky than that, because I found that certain environments where I'm traveling with the fork caused it to bend anyway. You see, I would take the fork from my home, which is room temperature, and then I would put it in the car, and then I would take it over to a gig. And whenever I opened my case up, it was not in pristine condition. It had already kind of bent in travel, and the reason that happens is because it's a heat-sensitive metal. And living here in Texas, any temperature above about 70 degrees is going to start bending that metal. It's really great for a very visual, very beautiful morphing or change, but it's a little bit more finicky, and you kind of have to baby it. So it's really a good idea to set it in its position almost as early as you can right before the show, so that way you can make sure that nothing changes that shape of that fork. They also say you can put it in your spectator's hand and let them do it and all that kind of stuff. I never felt comfortable doing that, because the material that the fork is made of, though it is metal, it's kind of thin. If you look in the pictures on the website, you can see this is true for the spoon as well, for the Shift self-bending spoon. It's a very thin metal, and it tends to have kind of a flexy quality to it. It doesn't feel, in your hands, it doesn't feel like a normal piece of cutlery. When you expect to pick up a piece of cutlery, you expect it to be pretty stiff, right? A very solid piece of metal, where this is very kind of springy and thin, and I never really felt comfortable letting my spectators handle this material. That being said, if you're standing on stage and you have it in your palm and you just do this and it goes whoop, super pretty, super pretty. Can't argue that. Though I have switched out my use of that fork for sleight of hand versions of bends. I found that I was able to accomplish an effect that looked very similar to what I wanted, if not better and more under my control than the Shift self-bending fork, which was $200. If you're interested about that technique that I use, or some of the techniques that I use in metal bending, I'll leave a link in the description below. That's my two thoughts on the Shift self-bending spoon. I don't know if it's worth $100. Maybe to somebody who really thinks that they need this and it's going to work perfectly for their show. But in my experience, I spent $200 on my fork, and now it sits in a drawer because I couldn't find a use case where it just checked all the boxes for me. And so that's something you got to worry about. It's very flimsy. I would not hand it to a spectator. And it is very temperamental. It wants to bend by itself without very much heat actually at all. Just ambient temperature can sometimes warp it too much to use in a presentation, and you have to reset it before the show. So for those things and the fiddliness and all that stuff, I decided just to leave it in a drawer, and I use sleight of hand versions, which are surefire every single time. If you want to see a link to the place where you can buy it on the Ellusionist, I'm not sponsored, it's not affiliated, anything like that. I'll leave a link down below too, so you can check it out for yourself. And again, disclaimer, this might be a different material. I don't have the spoon in hand, I only have the fork. If it's the same material, then what I say stands true. If they've somehow altered the alloy or the material or the manufacturing process that it makes this an improved version of the fork, well, then I'll eat my words. But just telling you my experience with the fork, make your own decisions. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.